Welcome, Keith. Thank you so much for being a speaker. So Keith Linder is an IT professional holding over four certifications in the IT space. His hobbies are fishing, sports, football, basketball, the outdoors, movies, sci-fi, and a proud geek of just about anything dealing with technology. I think we live in interesting times for technology.
Yeah.
In 2012, his then girlfriend Tina and Keith moved into the house in Bothell, right outside of Seattle, Washington, USA. Weird things began to happen within days of moving into the modern suburban home. The horrors Keith and his girlfriend witnessed and desperately tried to fight off would end up putting them at odds with members of the paranormal community and themselves. He's now living in between realities now because of his experiences, which he's very willing to share. Rob Tilley of the Australian Institute of Parapsychological Research says this case is right up there with the most frightening of poltergeist cases, which included the Enfield poltergeist, the South Shields poltergeist, the Bridgeport, Connecticut case, and the Matthew Manning case, all well researched and detailed in various books and documentaries over the years. The Bothell Hell House book is now a major work and a turning point in poltergeist poltergeist research. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Keith, and he's going to talk about his experiences at the Bothell House. So welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Joyce, and everyone for the introductions. Nice to meet you. Some of you I've already had correspondence with via email, but it's always good to meet and talk to new people, especially the curious, as well as those who are already familiar with poltergeist activity, either by study or by personal experience. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so you're going to give us an hour talk on the story of the hauntings at Bothell House and how it affected you and Tina psychologically.
Okay, let me do what I always do, sort of start off from the beginning. What I've learned recently through my ordeal or in reading other poltergeist cases, and this shouldn't be a shock to anybody, things started out gradually. Things did not begin, how should I say it, what I call high-level activity. Me and Tina, my girlfriend at the time, moved into the home May 1st, 2012. And on day one, this was the day we went to go sign the papers. Maybe about close to an hour of sitting in the home. The house is empty. The homeowner had just left. He congratulated us on moving in. And it's just me and Tina there. It's this big house. There's nothing in it. And like most new people in a home, you're sort of just looking around, getting a lay and feel of everything, of where you want your stuff to go, right? It's a 2-story home, single unit. And in the middle of our conversation, me and Tina are talking, we hear a kid cough. Now, what's interesting, I did not know this then, I know it now. What's interesting about this kid cough, and it's always good when you have 2 or more people in an environment where there's poltergeist activity, because you can hear something, and if it's real sound, right, everybody should hear it. And Tina heard it, I heard it, we heard it at the same time, and I kid you not, we both said, and it's identical, was that a kid cough? So it's not one of those things you can misconstrue, was that a kid cough coming from me? But she could say, was that a cat's meow? No. We both said together, was that a kid cough? Because I want everybody listening today to understand how real that was, how loud, but most importantly, how clear. And it was very resonant. We don't have any kids. We're in the home by ourselves. And we looked around, we're sitting on the floor downstairs and we're looking around, and the noise came from upstairs. It sounded like it came from one of the bedrooms, but it cut in the middle of our conversation. It derailed our conversation, which that's the whole purpose of the poltergeist. So we must have gave it about 5 minutes thought of, number one, where did it come from? That's interesting. And then the conclusion was that had to have come from outside. We heard that wrong. And then we left it alone. We're a new couple. We have no run-ins or experience with the paranormal. So we're just new home occupants, right? Maybe about 2 weeks later, now we're moving in. Now we've moved in. I and Tina started noticing objects missing. We just moved in. My extra set of car keys are missing. Tina's jewelry is missing. But it's a new move, right? You move into a house, things get lost, things get shuffled around. And once again, this is playing into the poltergeist because I've read this in other cases. The house occupants are usually the last aware. They're slow to the realization that they've been chosen and things are about to happen around them that's just going to blow their mind. But this is a snowball effect, right? So we got missing items. We talk about it over dinner. We talk about it before going to bed. Tina's got missing jewelry. And to add, to thicken the plot, now we wake up in the morning and we're finding kid toys spread out throughout the house. And by spread out, I mean the kid toys are put in our direct path of walking. You wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you go make some coffee. We have no kids, right? We have no kids. And the toys are put on the staircase. So there's no way to miss them, right? They're put on the coffee table, they're put on the kitchen counter. And as the nature of the poltergeist is, it wants you to see these things. It wants you to discern, what is this? And we did. But we're not nowhere close to thinking ghost. And I've never heard the term or was not familiar with the term poltergeist. So me and Tina, upon finding kid toys throughout the house, thought that we were being pranked by the previous tenants or our neighbors. I mean, that's how the brain was rationalizing what was around. We're not going toward ghosts. We're nowhere near thinking ghosts. But it was interesting. And it was discerning so much that I had a home security system installed. I was nervous about people coming into the house while we're sleeping, because that's when we find most of the kid toys is when we wake up. So it's a little bit of an uneasy feeling to wake up and find that, or think, I should say, that somebody's been in your house while you're asleep. So to rule that out or to protect ourselves, I had state-of-the-art security house monitoring system installed. Once again, electronics. And that does nothing. That's a very important thing, because the poltergeist is here. It's not coming outside into the home when we're asleep. The poltergeist is already in the house with us. So security, all that is for a human being. Well, maybe about 6 weeks to 2 months of living in the home, still experiencing that. Me and Tina one night watching a movie downstairs. It's a weeknight. And we're just watching Netflix, watching a movie. And Tina has this 4-foot tall plant that stands by the entertainment center. It doesn't sit on the entertainment center. It stands by the entertainment center. It's about 4 feet tall. We're watching TV together. And once again, I was so glad that Tina was there. I'm pretty sure she was glad I was there, because who do you tell after witnessing something like this, if you're by yourselves, who would believe you? Well, we're watching TV together, and the plant darts up. It doesn't slowly rise. No, it jets up. Boom. It does that. And then it does a quick spin, a 360-degree spin, and then falls in the direction of us. Okay. We just seen all of it. And me and Tina look at each other and we're like, you know, did that just happen? Did that really go down like that? And once again, we're not scared. We're not frightened. We're not thinking ghost. We get up from our couch. We walk over to the plant, and we really thought we were being pranked. And, you know, we thought somebody was having a joke at our expense. You know, maybe we got a home that was some sort of reality TV show where they film you and they don't tell you, and then the balloons are about to come down off the ceiling and somebody's going to pop out the closet and say, ha, you're on, you know, such and such TV show. But that didn't happen. So we're rummaging through the plant looking for a remote control device, wires, electronics, anything that would give rise as to how a plant that was sitting perfectly still shoots up in the air and turns around and it falls back to the ground. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything like that. Then, and only then, after witnessing that together, we said, I think we have a ghost living with us. And I remember we went straight up to my office and we went online on the internet and we started Googling, how can you tell if your house is haunted, you know? And the websites that we found were pretty much saying the same thing. Number one, missing items, objects appearing that neither one of you own, strange sounds, phantom footsteps, and a few even went as far as to say kid cough or a sound of a child. So then we were like, aha, okay, I think we have a kid ghost living with us, because remember, we have to rewind. Now we're rewinding our memories psychologically, going back to May 1st of when we heard the kid cough. So kid cough plus kid toys, trinkets, these are little trinkets, toys. I think we have a kid spirit. The second question we asked ourselves was, well, how do you get rid of it? What does it mean? Is it a bad thing? And believe it or not, most of the websites were very nonchalant. Saying, it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It happens. Spirits get lost. They wander. Kid spirits especially. And this is what we're reading online. So everybody that we're reading is telling us or calming our nerves. So we're like, oh, kid cough, kid goes, okay, all right. It says, this is what you want to do. You want to ask it what it wants. Why is it here? And you want to instruct it to go into the light. Okay. And we did all that. We did all that to the best of our ability. But here's where things are going to pivot to now. And this is now I'm trying to put myself in the chair of the poltergeist, which is very dangerous to do in the mind of the poltergeist. But now we're pivoting from it has our attention. Now it's time to finally start haunting us, okay? Everything before now was to get our attention, okay? You can't haunt you until we first have your attention. Now we got you and Tina's attention. Now we can haunt you. And that's generally what I've read in other poltergeist cases, especially residential cases of a poltergeist in a home. Attention first. Now we're going to start haunting you. So we're now doing things to remove the spirit, or what we think is a spirit. And the spirit is now doing things to counteract that. What do I mean when I say that? When I say, or when me and Tina say together, hey, why are you here? Pause, quiet. Boom, boom, boom. The instructions on the website didn't say that. It did not say we would encounter that. Another question. What do you want? Boom, boom, boom. Always three bangs. So finally we're like, okay, now we are saying, all right, leave, go into the light, be at peace, be restful, you know, and then boom, 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 or a plant will fly across the room. And by fly across the room, I mean in the bedroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, at all hours of the day. Usually when we gave an instruction or ask for the spirits to, number one, be quiet, to leave while you're here, objects start being thrown. I mean, bar stools, utensils, pottery, ironing board. And you can see, if you watch my YouTube channel and you go to the very first video to the very last video, especially from 2012 to 2016, you being the viewer can see the transition of lights going off and on, me and Tina are living in the home, doing an everyday thing, to an ironing board flying around, to loud bangs, until finally what this case got known for as burning Bibles, wall writings, and things like that. This is an escalation that's going to grow over time, and it's going to crescendo to unbelievable levels. But me and Tina have no idea what's in store for us. We have no idea. So the bangs, the loud footsteps, all that has now happened or begins to happen on a nightly, daily basis. This is every night now. You come home, cook dinner, eat dinner, boom, 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 flying stuff. And we go to the internet, we're asking people, hey, we got a little ghost problem. And everybody's giving us the same advice what I already told you. We have the church come in. The church comes in and blesses the home. The Catholic Church comes in and blesses the home. The house is quiet for a day or two or three. And then, boom, again, it just blows up. It just like, we're here, we never left. So that was the haunting aspect of it. But the day that I'll never forget was when me and Tina both realized that we're not dealing with a kid ghost, we're dealing with something much more serious, was the night we were lying in bed upstairs and we had just shut down the house. House is quiet, all the lights are off. I've got the alarm system on, and we're just sort of laying in bed and we're looking at the ceiling and we're just laughing, lollygagging, talking. And we're talking about the ghosts. We're talking about everything that we've seen so far and how we don't really believe. I mean, it's one of the utmost realizations ever. It's like if a UFO is to land in your lawn, right? But only you can see it. Your neighbors won't see. Only you can see it, and the UFO rings your doorbell. It's the ultimate realization ever. And we're laying in bed laughing like, ha ha, goes da 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 da. And these websites are crazy, and this is not working, and what are we gonna do, da 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 da. And then as we're laughing, the bedroom door just slams shut. Boom! And me and Tina stopped dead in our tracks verbally, and we're like, I mean, the door slammed so hard, it rattled the entire house. My house is about 2,500 square feet home, two-story home. Big house, and it just rattled the foundation of me. I'm a big guy, I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. I tried to duplicate that slam myself. I cannot come close to slamming a door that loud. I tried, I cannot. Even with the windows open and let some air come in to help me, I can't duplicate that. It did, and when it did that, I mentally, and probably Tina as well, knew right then and there, number one, this is serious. Number two, we're not on top of the spiritual food chain. We know they just told us the way that door slammed told us, and that's how we took it, was you guys need to take us seriously. You know, y'all laughing right now, y'all telling jokes and telling ghost jokes, and the gloves are about to come off, and we really need for you guys to take us serious because y'all don't know what's about to happen. Y'all laying here, it's dark, in this house. And I always tell people, and Rob knows this because he read my books, is there are multiple spirits in that house. We always talk about poltergeist in the singular, like Enfield or other cases. And my belief, based on living in a home, no, it's a team. A poltergeist is like a team. If you like soccer, think soccer. If you like football in America, think football. If you like basketball, think it's a team. If you like volleyball, there's a team of poltergeists in the house. Small, medium, large, extra large, gigantor. They all have one singular goal, but they all do different things in the home. And they come and go. And they told us that night to, take us seriously. The gloves are about to come off. And we've chosen you guys. And yeah, get ready. And from that point on is when the major stuff started happening. The apparition appearance of the gray lady who appeared outside my office door. The shadowy figures outside my office door. The larger objects being thrown. Just for the record, just to put it out there so people understand, the housewarming party that we had 2 months after we moved in were our friends everywhere. It must have been about 8 to 12 people there, husband and wife, all couples. Every woman in the home told Tina, something is pulling my hair. Something just pulled my hair. Something just tapped on my shoulder, okay? Every guy told me, because women were experiencing their hair being pulled, and telling Tina, and I would sometimes hear in passing, and Tina will look at me after they tell them that. Well, after 5 people tell you that, it's happening, it's real, it's the spirits in the home. The spirits kept locking me out the door of the backyard because I was cooking. So I would always go outside to get the food, bring it back in, and it's a glass sliding door, okay? And when I go outside, you can't lock a sliding door from the outside. It's just impossible. And you can't lock a sliding door, or you can't lock a sliding door from the inside, but you can't get outside. How are you gonna get outside? So I would go outside, and then when I go back to the sliding door, it's locked. So I'm tapping on the glass, and my guy friends will come unlock it, or Tina, and they will laugh like, dude, what's wrong with your door? Why you keep getting locked out? And me and Tina already know what's going on, but we've only told maybe 2 or 4 people in the home out of 12 that we have a ghost problem. And then I kept getting locked out the front door, or throughout the night, the front door was mysteriously always found open. One of the most oft-repeated questions or phrases that night during the housewarming party was, keep your front doors open. I walk over there cheapishly and close it. Hour later, 30 minutes later, we're partying, eating, drinking. Keep your doors open again. And so this is all happening at the same time. Every female in the home is getting their hair pulled. Till finally, the night's over. And then when I tell this story, I'll open up for questions, is everybody's left except Tina's 2 best friends, Kim and her mother. And me and Tina are breathing a sigh of relief because we got everybody out, or most of everybody, and we think we dodged the bullet, no pun intended. We think we dodged the bullet. Well, it's only Kim and Kim's mother there, and out the blue, Kim saw it better than me, a plant just zoomed across the room. And everything that flies in our house breaks upon impact when it hits a wall, especially the plants. It's just zoom, splash, destruction, mess everywhere. And Kim saw that with her own eyes. Kim has been hearing about our ghost problem for 2 months. And her reaction, like I said, is textbook human skeptic, doubter reaction of a friend or a family member who you would tell the story to, and they'd be like, I don't believe that. Or they would say to quiet you, oh, that's interesting. Like I would tell my friend, yeah, we got a ghost problem, and it throws the ironing board. And I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting. hey, what time are we going to the movie tomorrow? They would pivot. Nobody focuses on, because they're like, you're our friend. If you got a ghost problem, yeah, okay, whatever. Or we would tell them, yeah, we got a ghost problem. Well, kid, that's house noises, houses settle, and we're all like, no, this is not house noises. Well, Kim was what I would call a good witness because she was like that. Tina would, they would go shopping together, and Tina was telling what happened the previous night, and Kim would like, yeah, well, that's interesting. Oh, okay, we want to see that. Well, the day Kim saw that with her own eyes, Kim leaped up off the couch, and I was right there, and went running in the kitchen and told Tina, what was that? And Tina looked at me, and I'm looking at Tina like, haven't you been cluing her in on what goes on here? And Tina looks at Kim and said, I told you we had a ghost problem. And then Kim, and I'm almost quote her, says, you didn't tell me nothing like that. And then I looked at Tina, and Tina's like, yeah, we've been telling these people this for the last 2 months. But the realization of seeing is believing is the utmost real where poltergeists are concerned, in my opinion, because you can tell people all day, but when you see it with your own eyes, and Kim works for Microsoft, she's the VP at that time of marketing. You know, she works for a Fortune 500 company. She's smart, she's intelligent. She knows plants don't zip across the room. That's just not going to happen. Well, you know, somebody, well, earthquake. No. Earthquakes, things fall from top to bottom. Things falls off a shelf and break. They don't zoom past your peripheral, and they don't break upon impact. And to add insult to injury, Kim pulled out her iPhone after she was shocked and did what we did. She aimed it toward the ceiling or whatever and said, what do you want? Why are you here? And the response she got was, boom, boom, boom. And I told her before she did it, I said, don't do that. That's not a good idea. But she did it anyway. And she got the loud 3-bang response. And her mind was just blown. Any questions? That was a lot. And that's only 2 months of living in the home.
Did you see anything at like what point did you start to see it? Because I think in one of the interviews you gave, I think at one point you said you began to actually physically see it, what it was.
Yeah, so the Gray Lady happened that same summer. I would say the Gray Lady sighting happened soon after the housewarming party of me being upstairs, and it's just a normal night with me and Tina. It's just a normal house night. And I was in my office working on my computer, and we started having electrical problems of lights going off and on. Usually that was the precursor for something about to happen. Lights go off and on. Okay, 30 minutes, things are going to start flying, something like that. This night, I was in my office, and the lights were sort of going off and on. I'm typing, Tina's downstairs, I believe, about to go, well, no, Tina went to the bathroom to take a bubble bath. And I'm in my office, and the lights go off in my office. And I hear a click. It would click, you know, the light switch, you hear the sound it makes when you turn it off or on. And this is more instinct, like I said, this is more human instinct or human reaction than, you know, planned or common sense, because as soon as the lights went off, I pushed back from my desk like this, and I looked in the doorway, and I already have my speech ready, because me and Tina, you know, when you live in a house with poltergeists and it's just you and other people, you got to make rules. There got to be rules of sanity, of plan of action, of things not to do. One of the rules we had in the home at that stage was we're not going to play pranks on each other, right? That's just too soon. We got a ghost here. We ourselves don't need to be playing ghost jokes on each other. So I pushed away from my computer desk, and I looked in my doorway, and I'm like, I have my speech ready of, hey, Tina, I told you, we said we were not going to be doing this, because I thought Tina had turned the lights off. I never suspected, and this is probably why the Poltergeist did this. I never suspected, how could you, that I would see a woman standing there that's not Tina. And there's this gray lady, I call her gray lady because she's 100% gray. She's not translucent, she's not invisible, she's not shiny like the movies show it, or no, she's just gray. And she's standing in the doorway, and I'm looking, and I see her. As soon as I see her, she turns sideways and she's trying to go into the washroom. There's a laundry room to the left of my doorway. I don't really know what I'm looking at. Like I said, I'm really going on instincts, but because it's happening very fast. And she's trying to go through this door. She's not trying to open the door. That's what you and I would do to get into a room, right? She's trying to go through the door, but she's not having any luck. Now, at the time, because I'll talk about this in my second book, and I really talk about it in my third book, why was she trying to go into the washroom? And number two, why was she not being or having a difficult time doing it? Well, I theorize now, and some of you are probably already know of, me observing her was interrupting her, for lack of a better word, I don't know if it's a real word, demanifesting. Okay, she's not to go poof in front of my eyes. She can't do that. Well, she gives up. She has a look of worry, frustration, conniving, sneakiness all on her face. So she gives up. She's like, this door's not working. And I kid you, she turns her back to me and she darts off. She goes, boom, you know. And I get up and give chase. You know, I get up from my chair and follow her. I'm now in the hallway. I go through my doorway. I'm in the hallway. I turn the corner. Obviously, she's gone now. Okay. I walk into the bedroom, walk to the bathroom, and I see Tina. Tina's in the bathtub taking a bubble bath, and I look at Tina, and Tina looks at me and says, what? Tina knew something happened by my facial expression. She just didn't know what. And I said, I saw it. I didn't say I saw her. I said, I saw it. She said, what? I said, I saw it. I finally saw physically, you know, what's been plaguing us. You know, up until now, it's been objects thrown, kitchen cabinet doors open, phantom footsteps, electrical issues, all that stuff, loud bangs and all that. That's all it's been. It's been things you can hear and stuff like that. Nothing you can really see or, you know, tangible, unless you're talking about the broken items. But this was different. I said, I saw it. This was a deliberate act, because up until now, the lights have been going off and on by themselves. A poltergeist doesn't need your light switch to turn lights off and on. They don't need your light switch. Okay, so it was odd that this one chose to use the light switch, which, like I said, the deal is to get your attention, then haunt you. Okay, attention first, haunt second. The light switch, click, was to get your attention. You know, I turned toward the direction of the sound. She's standing there. I got your attention. Now all I'm gonna do is disappear on you, because now you're probably gonna have a conversation about this for the next 4 hours. And we did. And then the next day, the activity is gonna go from here to here, okay? Because now, since I've seen the gray lady, what do I do as a house occupant who knows nothing about poltergeist? I go on the internet. What do you do when you see a ghost? And the internet's giving you all these steps. Well, you gotta sage, you gotta smudge, you gotta get a Catholic priest in there, you gotta do all these things. Well, we did. And when we did, guess what the poltergeist does? It goes from here to here. Because we smudge, the objects that are thrown are bigger, the bangs are louder, they're more frequent. If you read or seen the videos, the poltergeist starts taking the sage stick. I mean, these are things we're told this is our repertoire. These are things we're told to use to ward off the spirits. The poltergeist has taken the sage stick, or did, that we used incorrectly because we don't know what we're doing, and it starts writing on the walls with our sage stick, saying upside down cross, which mentally, not trying to get to the mind of a poltergeist, but mentally, that beats us down. The poltergeist is beating us down, because if it's taking our weapons, for lack of a better word, our spiritual weapons, and then using it against us, me and Tina are going to bed thinking, wow, it took the sage stick and wrote with it. I thought they hate sage. I thought they will not go near a sage stick. It's almost like, you watch a horror movie and they say, well, Dracula hates garlic, right? And then you buy all this garlic and you put all the garlic around your house and around your bed, and Dracula walks in and start making necklaces out of your garlic. Like, hey, this is nothing for me. What are you doing? This is TV. This is internet. You didn't ask the poltergeist if that worked. You asked the internet if that worked. So the sage stick and everything else in conjunction with it made the activity become more and more and more and more deadly and dangerous.
So what else happened, Keith? You said it upped the ante. So what are the more intense things that happen after that?
Well, up until now, we're still in summer, believe it or not, 2012. We're still summer, fall, winter. The things I've told you so far, that's pretty much all of 2012, with the only difference being they happen more frequent. Objects got larger. You go from a plant about yay size to a bar stool, to candle rods, candlesticks, Bibles being thrown to the ground, Bible missing. I'll start talking about the burnt Bible in a minute. But the Bible, we were told to, display our religious beliefs openly. One thing I guess is a sort of misconception about our case is people like, well, who has 3 or 4 or 5 Bibles in their house? That's just weird. Are you guys religious? Are y'all zealots? No. These Bibles that I had, I've accumulated over time. I kept them in my closet. When the internet or people told us you need to display religious beliefs openly, if you got a cross, lay it out somewhere. If you got a Bible, open it up to Psalms or Proverbs, lay it out there somewhere, let it be seen. And we did. Well, you go to bed or you're watching TV and the Bible goes flying across the room. The cross goes flying across the room, or the cross is turned upside down. So once again, the poltergeist is taking things that we use that we think is going to frighten it against us. Well, 2000, I guess toward the end of 2012, toward the end of that summer, Bible number 1 went missing. It went missing when Tina was out of town. I was just in the home. I had put it downstairs, went to bed, came back, woke up the next morning, the Bible was gone. That's very important if you're a researcher. And as we get through the chronological order of things happening, that's very important for a researcher, because when the Bible comes back, your mouth is going to drop open and you're going to be like, whoa. So after around November of 2012 came around, everything stopped. No activity. We won. It just stopped abruptly. Me and Tina are like not walking on eggshells because the activity seems to have abated. And that's a good thing. We're high-fiving each other's spirits, like, hey, but we don't know why it stopped. We're not trying to look a gift horse in the mouth. We're not complaining, but we're like, well, why did it stop? What did we do? Because if you know why it stopped, guess what you could do? I could tell other people, hey, if this happens to you, but once again, there's no silver bullet, right? So the activity stopped around November of 2012. And we thought we had our lives back. We're like, we can breathe again. They left, they're gone. Wow, they do run a period of time. What the internet says, they do run their course and they do leave. Okay. Now we're starting to think the house is worth living in. Up until now, I'm really not liking the house, but now, okay, I like the house again. For all of 2013, we had no activity. Now, I want you to remember something. The Bible that I said went missing around August or September of 2012. Okay, it went missing. All of 2013 has came and went. The Bible and pretty much anything else that's been missing has never returned. All the items that my car keys are still gone. They never reappear in the home. Tina's jewelry, they never reappear in the home. If you know the story well, you know Tina started finding other women's jewelry later on in the order of things that got me in trouble. But these things never reappear. They never take it from here and put it over here. No, they never come back. The Bible is the largest object that is still missing to this day. Okay, so a year and a half goes by, about a year and 3 months goes by. January of 2014, January 2nd, I was coming out of my office, a normal day from after working, and I slipped on my staircase. It was a bad fall. I still to this day, I don't know how I did it, but I fell about 12 flights of stairs and tore my right knee. My kneecap clean off, bam, done. Fast forward, I had to have surgery to repair it. I couldn't walk on it for 2 months, couldn't go to work for 2 months. I'm homebound with a serious knee injury after surgery. It's in a cast, I can't drive, I can't go anywhere. So I'm home and Tina has to go to work. Around early March, as I'm mending, I'm in the home during the daytime, I'm asleep, I hear noises in the house. Now, we've all been asleep, right? And if you live with somebody, people come, sometimes people arrive in your home while you're sleeping, you know, a roommate, a spouse, or kids or whatever. You kind of know who's in your home by the noise you hear. I'm hearing noises in the kitchen like somebody's rummaging. Kitchen cabinet doors opening and closing, like somebody's looking for a paper cup or something. Open, close, open, close, open, close. I open up in my eyes and I'm thinking, oh, it's about 10 a.m. Oh, it's too early for Tina. So I yell out, Tina. Maybe Tina came home. Maybe she forgot something. Obviously, I was asleep. I didn't hear her come in. No reply, no answer. Then the noise just stops or resumes after I fall asleep. In conjunction with that, as I'm sleeping, going back to what somebody was saying earlier about how many taps you hear, I'm hearing tapping on my headboard. On my headboard, you know. So that darts my eyes up. I hear that. And that's nerve-wracking. In conjunction with those two things, I'm hearing footsteps in the hallway. About 4 feet from my bed in the hallway, I'm hearing somebody back and forth, back and forth. Tina, are you here, Tina? I'm calling out Tina. Tina. No, Tina. Okay. All right. Well, the easiest way to solve this problem is text Tina. Where are you? I'm at work. You know? So I get out of my house and I'm thinking, intruder. Once again, I'm not always going toward the ghost thing, even though I've seen a lot already. But maybe somebody broke into the house and they don't know somebody's sick or got a broken leg upstairs and they're ripping us off, right? I mean, that's a normal thing. It's frightening, but you got to check it out. So I'm limping out of my bed. I got my crutches and I'm walking to the landing, looking around and see nothing. Nothing's out of order when Tina comes home. I never go downstairs because my leg is broke. So I have to wait for Tina to come home and tell me what's the condition of the kitchen. She's like, the kitchen's fine. And I tell her, I say, hey, I'm hearing noises. Well, I'm in by myself. And me and Tina, we're not trying to focus or think ghosts all the time. She don't really want to talk about it. I don't really want to talk about it. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You're like, we're not trying to go there. You're like, hey, but I know I'm not hearing things, but you know, they do give me these pain meds. Maybe it's the pain meds. So I decrease my pain medicine and I just ignore it. Well, once again, we we want to get your attention, and then we want to haunt you. The night, they sort of like the plant of we want to get your attention because we're back. We're back, and guess what? We brought more of our friends. Was late March, early April, me and Tina were sleeping. And I put this in the book. I had an uneasy feeling that night. It felt weird that night. The energy in the house felt weird. I was tossing and turning. I was looking at the ceiling. I felt the feeling of being watched. It was like we were being observed. You know, you look at you look down at the end of the foot of your bed where your foot meets the end, the mattress or the foot bed rail, and you just get a sense like there's just an armada of people that you can't see doing this, looking dead at you. You just get that feeling. So I try to sleep. I nudged Tina. I said, "Hey, you all right?" She said, "Yeah, I'm tired. Go to sleep." And then about, I think it was 3 a.m. that night, boom, loud crash, loudest crash we've ever heard. We dart out of the bedroom. We thought a car came crashing through our house. That's how loud it was. No, there's an armoire, giant armoire that Tina has sitting positioned in the hallway that was once over here and is now over here. And it's like obliterated. It's like boom, broken all up. And it's leaning, it left a gash in the wall. So we got a hole in the wall now. And I knew then it was back. I said, they're back. They're back. And as much as I've read already on websites of when poltergeists leave and those who leave and forever leave, yeah, you won, you got lucky, you never had any problems again. The ones that come back way worse than before. When Tina saw the destruction in the hallway, Tina started crying right then and there. She just broke out in tears. Because Tina knows, like me, they're back. And we've read so much already to know when they're back that they don't resume with the small stuff. They pick up where they left off with the big stuff. Ain't nothing bigger than an armoire. I'm a big guy. It took 3 men my size to bring that armoire upstairs when we moved in. 3 of us. And we had a hard time bringing it upstairs. I can't move that armoire by myself now that the people who helped me move it upstairs are gone. And this thing moved it from over here to there like it was cardboard. And I was like, so we called the people we called before, the church, and said, hey, ghost problem again. And then that morning was the loud banging, the objects being thrown, kitchen cabinet door slamming. Tina can't take a shower without the door slamming on her. You don't know, you've never been frightened to when you're taking a shower by yourself, right? You're taking a shower, your partner or your mate is downstairs or whatever, or might not even be home, and the door slams on you and the lights go off. Shoom, lights off. Shoom, lights off. That's a worse feeling because once again, there's 2 dualities in your brain and neither one are good. Poltergeist, okay, what's he gonna do now? Lights are off, doors are closed. Or home intruder. Which one would you want to entertain dealing with? It's like the worst of both worlds. You got to step out of that shower. You got to confront this reality in front of you. What is it? Am I about to die now? If it's a home intruder, open the door, I'm dead. If it's a poltergeist, he's gonna kill me, I'm dead. Okay, so Tina's having that problem. I'm having that problem. And we're calling all these paranormal teams and churches and people are blessing the house, And finally, one weekend, I think it was a week after the activity resumed to happen, was when the Bible came back. Now, remember I said the Bible went missing August or so in 2012. We're now in April of 2014. That's how long the Bible's been gone. But people get lost on the Bible catching fire. And I always tell people, and Rob knows it because it frustrates me, y'all focusing on the wrong thing. Y'all focusing on the Bible catching fire because that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood does that. You see that in movies. Oh, at the end of the world, the Bible caught fire and Lucifer. No. The poltergeist, when it brought the Bible back and set it at the foot of our door while we were sleeping one night, it set it at the foot of our door. It didn't put it back on the lamp table. No. It set it at the foot of our door while we were asleep. After we've been haunted all day, there was no bull paranormal team that came in there, spent 11 hours at home and saw all kind of stuff. We're exhausted. There's lights and wire hanging from the ceiling because the poltergeist yanked all that stuff out. Things are destroyed and destruction, and it's just a mess. The house is a mess. The double door on our bedroom is torn up, but we put it together enough to go to sleep to block out whatever is going to be thrown in. That's why we sleep. And then we finally go to sleep, and then we wake up to the fire alarms going off in the house. That's never happened before, okay? The fire alarms have never gone off before in the middle of us sleeping. I'm not talking about burning toast or anything. We wake up, do what anybody normal human being would do is open up the doors, and there on the floor is a book. We don't know it's the Bible yet. Is a book that's on fire. Now, I don't mean smothering or just smoke. I mean, fire is dancing on the book. The pages are incinerating. I'm 6'5", it's on the floor. So you got 6 feet, 5 inches. I can feel the heat coming from the Bible on my face. That's how much fire I want you to understand was on the book. I, more instinct, close the book with my foot. I close it, and that extinguishes the fire. But it doesn't solve the problem because ash and soot and go everywhere. Now, when I close the Bible or close the book, I can see that it's the Bible. It's the Bible that went missing a year and 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm looking dead at it, and I tell Tina, that's the Bible. She's like, what Bible? I'm like, that's the one that went missing. And I pick it up, and I feel a bulge. There's a bulge in it. It's like, whoa. So they're not done with us. The poltergeist is not done with them. You found the Bible, okay. No, there's something in it, Keith. I feel the bulge. Now, when I set the Bible in the table a year or so ago, I had nothing in it. It was just a Bible. But this has something in it. So I open it, and there's a wooden cross in the pages in Proverbs or Psalms where I had it open. Now, I bought this wooden cross about a week ago off Amazon from a website in Jerusalem and hung it over our headboard to go to sleep as a means of protection. Wooden cross, Jerusalem. That wooden cross was over our bed before we went to sleep that night. So when I see this cross and it's incinerated, it's scorched, it's in worse shape than the Bible, I said, Tina, this is the cross, above our head. And just to make sure we turn around and we look, and of course there's no cross above the head because it's in the Bible. But the part I was telling you earlier about people focus on the wrong thing is people don't pay attention, or I feel don't pay enough attention to the level of premeditation to set all this up. Yeah, the Bible caught fire, and that's horrible, and that's scary, and yeah, we almost had a heart attack. Yeah, that's fine. We get that, okay? No. What I want, or what our researchers will talk about more as it relates to this case, is the premeditation, the planning involved, the conscious, it's a conscious decision to haunt somebody, to haunt you, to take a Bible and say, and let's just put ourselves in the poltergeist's world for a second, right? A poltergeist takes the Bible and he goes back to wherever poltergeists go. It talks to the other poltergeist. Okay, I got the Bible. How long are we gonna keep it? Keep it for a year or whatever. We'll sit on it. We'll wait. We'll use it when it's in our interest to use it. Okay. Year, 3 months passed by. Oh, the paranormal team that was in the house, they left. Keith and Tina going back to bed. Okay. Bring the Bible out. They thought so they're going to bring people in the house to help, huh? They're going to bring people in the house to get rid of us, huh? This is our house. The poltergeist is letting us know. This is our house. This is our land. You guys just live here. This is ours. You brought people in to help you. they're gone. Like they always do, they're gone. They gave you instructions. You went to bed. Now we can play with you again, but now we got to punish you. Let's get the Bible. Let's put it outside your bedroom door. You know, let's light it on fire. Oh, wait a minute, hold up, don't light it yet. Get that cross above their head. Inches above their head, inches. You know, we're asleep, boop, boop, flame on. That's what I wish people would understand about our case and other cases that I read of the tenacity of the poltergeist. Yeah, it's cool to see, or it's not cool, but the flames and blood and all that. Yeah, but no, the tenacity, the wherewithal, that's a good word, the wherewithal to do all that underneath the eyes and nose and ears of the house occupant. Because when we saw that, we were frightened. We were like, man, this is, I mean, I called the paranormal team that morning. Team was calling the Catholic Church in Seattle. And at this phase now, we're now entering the too good to be true phase with paranormal believers. See, this is going to be interesting because all of you obviously are paranormal believers, or you wouldn't be here. But there's a community within the paranormal community that has a mindset of, that's too good to be true. It don't happen like that. No house is that active. No. And that's what we're about to start running into, because we call the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church, prior to us calling them, said, oh, we've seen everything. We do this all the time. We're the Catholic Church. This is what we do. We see this all. We do. And that's relieving to us. We're like, oh, really? Nothing we tell you so far is blowing your mind? Yeah. Oh, no, man, we got a priest over here in Bothell, and he specializes in these things. But now when we go back to them and we like, hey, man, the Bible caught fire, the wood cross, their eyes are big. They're like, oh, well, that's too good to be true. That's no Holy Spirit's that strong. And we're like, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, we saw it. We help us. No. So that's one of the roadblocks we're going to start beginning to run into, because when the black oil starts showing up, when the upside down man starts showing up, when the 666 starts showing up, Rob knows this because I told him, I said, the poltergeist wrote 666 to keep paranormal teams out the house, to keep people from taking our case seriously, because Hollywood has done all kinds of things with 666. You know, even hoaxes, right? I mean, you go to this is somebody who's hoaxing, and they're like, oh, I'm right, 666 on it. Yeah, dude, come on, Hollywood, come on, dude. Well, the poltergeist knows is that, hey, to keep Keith's help at bay, we can't control all of them, but to keep his help at bay, yeah, we're gonna write some 666 on the wall. But the paranormal researcher sees the 666 and they stop. They don't drill down. And by drill down, I mean, they don't scrape little bits of the 666 off in a vial, put a little Ziploc bag, and send it off to the science office to see what the ingredients are made of. You know, they just stop at the 666. That looks like hoaxing. We're not going to, key, ha, ha, ha. No. The poltergeist used an ingredient that we can't even possess. Nobody on this call can even possess. If I told you to go buy bone black, bone char, you wouldn't know where to get it. You couldn't get it within 24 hours. You couldn't get it within 7 days. And that's what we later found out, bone char, bone ash. But nobody thought to test the sample, and they spent the night in the home, but they just see 666 and they walk right on by. And the poltergeist knows that. It knows how to inoculate the intellectual curiosity of certain paranormal researchers. And that was at the detriment of me and Tina. That frustrated us tremendously. We're like, we give you the keys to our house. We even leave, right? The whole, we're going to leave. We're going to let you stay in the house, and we're going to leave and do what it is you do. See, I'm an IT professional. I'm a project manager. So when I go to a customer or I do work, I do what I do. No there's no question. That's the project manager. He's going to project manage. He's going to manage the project. Okay, you on the receiving end would be shocked if I showed up and my title says project manager, and I'm like, oh, what we going to do? What? You're like, aren't you the project manager? So when I bring paranormal teams in, or me and Tina did, or the church or the clergy, and they come in and they're dumbfounded, or they hit a brick wall intellectually of, oh, we don't know what to do. No Poltergeist will ever do that. I'm like, how can you even say that? How can you say a Poltergeist would never do that when we're still trying to figure out what it is they do, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Keith. And yeah, I thought just a few more minutes and we'll go to a break. But could you maybe tell us quickly how did all these hauntings affect you and Tina psychologically and emotionally?
Well, that's a good question. And like I said, the physical, there's a physical aspect and there's a psychological aspect. Usually the psychological aspect gets looked over, but going back to what I was saying earlier, when we started running to resistance from the people, trying to get help, trying to be believed, being told it's too good to be true, being told to erect cameras everywhere because we want to see it for ourselves. That affects us psychologically because now we are playing the blame game amongst each other. We're frustrated, we're tired, we're sleep deprived. We got to call people, we got to chase people down. People say they're going to show up to the house, they don't. People say they're going to show up to the house at 6, they don't. They show up at 8 or 9. People say they're going to spend the night in the house and they only stay 2 hours. People show up to the house and don't bring no equipment, which has just totally made us mad. So we're frustrated. And then we forget for things. Tina may forget to call this church. I come home, did you call this church? Oh, I forgot, work got busy, I got preoccupied. Those things create tension that the Poltergeist start feeding off on. And it started affecting us psychologically because now I'm tired. I don't want to argue with Tina. I'm tired. She don't want to argue with me, but we sort of kind of have to because nobody listens to us. I thought I had a good idea. It turned out it wasn't a good idea. Tina's mad. Tina thought she had a good idea. I thought it was bad, but it turned out bad. So we're mad. So we're finger pointing. We're doing this to each other. And the Poltergeist is in the midst of all of that. It's in the midst of all of that, okay? There are items missing. Tina's now starting to find jewelry that don't belong to her, other women's jewelry. No woman wants to find another woman's jewelry in her home, let alone her bed. That's just not going to happen. Me and Tina having seen a lot, I'm thinking, Tina, we're like in Alice in Wonderland. Nothing makes sense here. I would know there's been no female in the home since you left because I work from home a lot. Well, Tina's holding, a tangible object in her hand and no woman wants to have the wool pull over her eyes. And so it creates more tension. She said, well, I'm not going to call the priest today. I'm mad, and then we go 2 or 3 days without talking because we're mad. And then we go 2 or 3 days without sleeping in the same room because we're mad. But the activity doesn't slow down. No, they don't never say, the Poltergeist never says, we'll resume activity after y'all make up. No, the activity keeps going. So if there's something to catch fire, if I'm in the guest bedroom that night and Tina's in the master bedroom sleeping, we just run to the fire from different rooms. If I'm in this part of the house and she's over there and we separate at different times and something blows up, object is thrown, we just come out of our respective rooms and see it, and like look at it and then look at each other and turn our backs and resume being mad at each other again. It's insane. And the Poltergeist is, messing with me when I'm in bed asleep. It's haunting Tina, when she's taking a shower. So it doesn't subside. But long story short, yeah, you get tired, you're getting spent. It's a beat down process. I always believed the ultimate goal for the spirits in our house, I can only speak for our house, the ultimate goal, the message I got from the spirits in our house based on everything we've had and witnessed in conjunction with what the previous tenants, we didn't talk about Rhonda and her family yet, but what they had 5 years before we moved in, these spirits were trying to get us to kill ourselves. and I don't mean suicide. They wanted death by suicide, or me kill Tina, or Tina kill me. That's what they wanted. They wanted the firemen, the police to pull up to their home one day and take Tina out in cuffs, and there I am laying dead. And Tina's like, the ghost made me dead. The ghost did. The ghost. Like, yeah, whatever. You're guilty as charged. And me the same way. Oh, the ghost. Oh, the great lady. Going to the office was the great lady. She made me kill Tina. And that's what they wanted us to do. And I know that about there's a chapter in the Bothell Hell House where I talk about the scratches on my car door, where technology, the Poltergeist didn't anticipate this technology that I had set up that made me deduce that, aha, you wanted me to think Tina did this, but no, you did it. But the technology, the Poltergeist didn't extrapolate or think enough about the technology, and it was just a marvel to figure that out. But I knew then, especially after talking to Rhonda and her family about what they went through. Yeah, the spirits in the home wanted us to kill each other.
Wow. Wow, very nefarious.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Keith. I think we'll go for a break.
I seem to get more energy out of anger, out of frustration. Rhonda, for reasons she could not explain, became very suicidal and depressed. Something was draining her to the point to where the only idea that she can deduce in her mind was to kill herself. So they were doing something where they doing, subliminally telling her to do that. Because with us, I could tell you the activity would reach new heights and new levels almost within seconds of me and Tina arguing, almost within seconds. We had, going back to we had rules to where if we're going to disagree, I'm talking about the slightest disagreement, I want peanut butter and jelly, you want whatever. It's the slightest disagreement they would seize or descend on. So now that whenever we had a disagreement, we would agree to leave the house. I said, hey, we're not going to debate about it now. Let's get in our car and let's go. We had to do that. And that worked sometimes. Sometimes you just can't, you're going to have an argument right then and there, you're just going to have it, right? And they would just leap. So they're always there. They're always nearby, because as soon as we have a heated debate, boom, something goes flying. It's not like an hour later or 30 minutes later. It's almost within seconds. I could even get the word out of my mouth sometimes, or Tina, and boom, 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 boom. And whoa, okay, we gotta be quiet. Let's get in our car, let's drive away. And that made them mad, because they would start hiding our keys. When we started exiting the house, we're not gonna talk about this now, we're gonna talk about this down the street, or we're gonna spend the night in the hotel tonight. They started sabotaging the car, the engine, hiding more car keys. Today's car key, I hate to use the word car keys, because who has keys nowadays? Really a car fob, where the little button, those are expensive to repair, let alone replace. So they would just take those things, and I would have to get a new one, and that's like 500, 800 US currency. And I would cry every time I would buy one, because they would just take them. There's no getting way around it. So yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, I do think energy and different levels, different poltergeists have favorites of what type of energy they go after. You hear all kinds. It's very dynamic. You have people who undergoing stress, turmoil, recent death in the family. Every age group has experienced the poltergeist, right? Every age group, every nationality has experienced the poltergeist, and every walks of life has experienced the poltergeist. Priests. I've read stories of priests who, or studying to be priests, and the poltergeist invades them, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to be a priest anymore," and then the activity stops. So I think there's all types of energy they go after.
Thank you.
One of the things I observed, when I brought the I brought a lot of cameras into the home. When we started having crazy activity, you name it, I brought it. And I noticed there was a trend. Usually about the third day, whatever camera, wireless camera, infrared camera, generally most of my cameras were motion and sound detection cameras. And they were highly technical in their capabilities. So they would send an email or alert when sound was detected. I started noticing that I would experience equipment malfunction, usually about the third day of my device. Meaning I could configure my device, set it up, and usually about day 3, my device didn't belong to me anymore. It belonged to them. They figured it out. And so what I would do is I would pivot to a different manufacturer. I would go to a different type of device. Did the same thing, but just did it differently. Try to stay a little bit ahead of them. Try to test what you just asked me out. Are they, omnipotent in knowledge? I don't necessarily believe that they are. I will say they're omnipotent in curiosity. Okay. And they have an immense IQ and they can discern very quickly, So take it like this. So I would go buy a different equipment that does the same thing. And then true to form, about the third day, that equipment didn't belong to me anymore, belonged to them. I would have to reconfigure it. And by the time I reconfigured it, set it back on the shelf, they've already reconfigured it. Now they couldn't do that when I just walked in the house with it, but they could do that about the third or fourth day. And that added to the frustration because now I'm just spinning my wheels. Okay. Steve Mera, coming out of the UK, had an interesting experiment when he brought into the home. He was the only paranormal team to bring this into the house, where he brought in passive infrared. All my infrared up until now have been active infrared. He brought in passive infrared detection devices. And the Poltergeist, to my knowledge, had never seen that before. So when Steve Mera sets that up in the infamous hallway, and then you can see that on his documentary, how that unfolded, it's very interesting. Steve comes downstairs within seconds of setting up all this passive infrared, and he can barely sit in his chair and drink his coffee, and all these passive infrareds are going off. I mean, they are ringing, dude. So he gets up. Nick Kyle, coming out of the SSPR in Scotland, gets up, and they all go back upstairs to respond to the passive infrareds going off. And Stephen, he talks about it in the documentary. He's giving lectures on it. He says he gets to the base of the top of the stairs, and I kid you not, he says the infrareds are going off. He gets up there, and they can hear the pitter-patter running. What was interesting is the running is, whatever is running, you can't see with the naked eye, obviously, is going in the opposite direction. And it just blew their mind. Something was scurrying away, going in the opposite direction. And he wrote down in his notes, passive infrared. So we tried that in the master bedroom, got results. Tried that in the kitchen, it got results. Usually about day 3 or day 4, no, you're not going to get any more results of the passive infrared. They've adapted to it. They figured it out. The equipment doesn't belong to Steve anymore. It belongs to them. There's malfunctioning now, things of that nature. It was that in conjunction with the EVPs, or the voices that we caught on voice recorder, or they caught, where they were saying amongst themselves, it's a camera, or it's a night camera. Take this, take that. Take this, leave that. Does that plug in? No. Does that? They're guessing. They're talking amongst themselves, like you and I are talking. The day before I moved out of the Bothell house, and this is in book 2, and the EVPs are there too. And you're gonna love this, Don. This is gonna blow your mind, Don. And this is true. You can listen to it. I wanted to take pictures of my house because I had done all the remodeling, I had fixed all the holes the Poltergeist left in the home, and now I'm about to turn the house back over to the homeowner, and I want my deposit back. So I called my friend, one of my best friends. She's a photographer. She's an expert photographer. I knew just by asking her to come in and take pictures of my home that she's going to bring her state-of-the-art camera. She's going to bring her state-of-the-art high-def 4K cameras. And I didn't tell her what my experiment was because I didn't want to contaminate it. So before she arrived, I put voice recorders in different parts of the house. And I said, hey, the house is empty. The house is empty. Take pictures of every room and give that to me, download it, give that to me, whatever. When I went to review the audio, I got the photos. Photos were not what I wanted. I wanted, because I had a hunch, the cameras that she were bringing, the Poltergeist have never seen before. These are highly expensive cameras. And I knew they were going to be curious. I didn't know what they were going to say, but I knew they were going to be curious. I just prayed they didn't steal one. These are highly expensive cameras. When I listened to my audio, you hear a male voice tell the other one to go take one of the cameras. You hear that, okay? And then there's a pause, and you hear the same male voice who gave instructions to go take the camera say, and part of my, because this is, I'm quoting what it said. It tells, the male voice says, "You chickened out, you puss." You hear that? He tells the other one, "You chickened out." He told him to go take it. When I heard that, when other people heard that, we deduced as to saying, you didn't go take it. You chicken. Now you chicken, because he told him to take it. For whatever reason why I didn't take it, maybe Barbara had it in her hand. Maybe she never let it out of her sight. Most of the cameras she used, you got the little belt, the camera's around your neck. So, but the minute she sits it down somewhere, or take the SID card or thing like that. But that let me know right then and there that their knowledge is not omnipotent, but their curiosity is, okay? And they saw something of value in these cameras. I don't think they really understood what Barbara, my friend's her name, what she was doing, because up until now, everybody who's coming to my house who brought cameras are investigators. Well, Barbara's a professional photographer, so they're watching her go from, she's kind of doing what investigators are doing. She's going from room to room and taking pictures, but it's a little weird because she's got these highly expensive, state-of-the-art equipment, and she won't sit them down, but they're talking. They're talking amongst themselves, and they wanted to take one, and then they did it, thank God. But it said, "You chickened out, you puss," and that let me know the level of observation, the tenacity, the planning, the intelligence. But no, I think they can figure out stuff relatively fast. They do have that, it's all, but not to, give them too much credit. It would be like, one of our most expensive plane, the stealth bomber, right? Or drone crashes in China or Russia, right? Well, what are the Russians or the Chinese going to do before they give it back to us? Hey, we're going to give it back to you, but we're going to comb through that thing. We got that technology. Thank you. Shouldn't have crashed in our border. So we're going to take it through our R&D department, and we're going to, go through like a tooth comb. Then we'll give it to you. These spirits did the same thing with our camera equipment and other electronic devices. They just figured it out,
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you.
I think they're entities, but the entity, like I said, these entities in the home, they're learning our words and our language and our and stuff, but they're not using it correctly, They because they have a simple way of using it. Like, one of the EVPs that we caught was in the hallway, and the voice kept saying, well, they were trying to guess what the equipment was. It was a voice recorder that they were setting up in the hallway, but the EVP or the spirits kept saying, image detector, image detector. Well, there's no such thing as an image detector. Image detector, and I come back with a 0 on Google, but that's what they called it, you know. But I can understand why they would call it that based on, you know, investigators and researchers' love for photographic, videograph capturing equipment, you know. And most of the things we brought in the home were motion detections. You know, we're trying to detect motion, but they're not going to call it, you know, it says on the box, you know, I got a Foscam camera model 1880 WZ. They're not going to call it Foscam 180 WZ. Get that? No. They were like, image detector, image detector. It said that's the only way it can be powered like that. And we would hear that and we're like, well, we don't call it that, but that's their, you know, thing. That's how they were doing stuff, or I guess determining the definition of it. But it was just very interesting to some of the names they gave the equipment, but they're not off base. It's just a new name. It's like, we call it a camera, and they were like, image detector. And I was like, okay, but you know, I don't call it that, but they don't care what we call it. They're like, they don't care. What they find interesting, and what I noticed was, why do we find that stuff so interesting? You follow me? Why do we have so much value on electronic gadgets? Is there something in there that we don't know? Man, I'm talking about the spirits, because Don Phillips had an interesting encounter in the home. Every researcher has their favorite equipment, right? They have their favorite go-to voice recorder, their go-to camera. But even out of all their favorites, there's still that one favorite. And there's the one favorite you keep in your pocket or you keep on your person. You don't never separate yourself from it. You keep it in a suitcase by itself. That's your go-to device. And when Don Phillips was in my home for 2 weeks on out, there was one voice recorder, the Olympus voice recorder, he always kept in his pocket. I watched him, he kept it in his pocket all the time. He never left a room without it. And I was like, oh, he's in trouble, because he's showing value. He's showing favoritism to that equipment. And I said, they're going to take it. They're going to take it. I didn't tell him that, but I do in the back of my head, they're going to take it, because he never would be separated from that thing. Well, maybe the next to the last day of him in the home, it disappeared. It was gone. And I was like, oh, he's like, hey, where's my voice square? Like, oh, which one are you talking about? Oh, the silver one. I was like, oh, your favorite one? He's like, yeah, that's my favorite. That's my, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's gone. It's gone. Once they see you show favoritism to something, or show so much reverence or importance, like the Bible, they saw me so much reverence to the Bible, to where when I sat it down, and they were like, look at all the steps he's taking in the mannerism just to sit that Bible there. And they took it. It was gone. Rob knows about the green coffee cup my mom gave me. Remember that, Rob? When my mom gave me a coffee cup, like 2 years before I moved to Seattle. Well, she gave it to me as a present for moving to Seattle. Well, the night of the housewarming party, my friend, before she was about to leave, said, Keith, can I have a cup of coffee? And I said, yeah. So this is one of my best friends. So I gave her the ceramic green cup of coffee, the cup. I said, here, this is my mom. My mom gave me this. This is very important to me. I value this, but you're my friend. I told her the story of how my mom gave it to me, and da-da-da-da-da. And I gave her that speech. And then we talked about it for like 10 minutes. And then I made her a coffee. She drank from it. She sat it down in the kitchen sink. She said, thank you, Keith, for the coffee. And me, I gave it no other thought. The morning I got up the next day, I went to go put that ceramic coffee cup in the dishwasher. Coffee cup is gone. It is gone, because they saw me spend 10 minutes about talking about this coffee cup. So I know in the back of their mind, they're like, oh man, yeah, get the coffee cup. Yeah. You know, get that. As a person who lived with this for 4 years, or still living with aspects of it, I can tell you, you know, what's made me sort of a champion now of, I never quite understood why researchers, not all, but some, put the house occupants on the defensive. Experiencing is real. I never quite understood that, you know. When I go into a doctor's office and say something's ailing me, they don't drill me or put me on the defensive. They ask me questions, they run tests, they evaluate, but they never put me on the defensive, because if they did, who would ever show up, right?
Mm.
When we start going to paranormal teams about what was happening in our house, sometimes you can almost see the wheels turning in their head of, oh boy, here we go. Somebody watched too much Ghost Adventures. Okay, here he goes. You know, burning Bibles. Yeah. You know, they would put us on the defensive, or they would like, hey, Keith, are you sure it's not Tina? Or they would say, hey, Tina, you sure it's not Keith? And that upsets the house occupants. And that's one of the reasons why people just leave and don't tell people. As a whole, does not have empathy in that regard to say, hey, tell us what's going on. And if you know, and this shocked me when I started reading about other Poltergeist cases, and I'm still reading about them, it shocked me because all of us, regardless of how long the activity lasted, have experienced similar things. I could complete other people's story, they can complete mine. There's nuances, yeah, but the overall story is the same. So when I see a researcher like drilling me or trying to put me on the defense, like, yeah, you know, you might be a little bit attention seeking, or, you know, made that one up, blah, 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 blah. I never quite understood that when your job is to find answers, you're a researcher.
Mm.
A person is walking through your door or through your office or emailing you. Why are you putting them through the ringer of all these things? I understand you got to get to the truth. We want the truth. That's why we're here. That's why we called you. And it's okay to say you don't know. You know, one of the things I tell my clients or customers, if I don't know, I'm like, hey, we don't know. We've never seen this problem before, but let's find out about it together. And I think you would have less people leaving these locations without telling people if the community was more receptive or had more empathy. Because right now, and Rhonda, once again, to tell Rhonda's story, that's what they did. You know, when all the men, we caught a lot of hell. Me and Tina caught a lot of hell. You know, look at some of the vile things that are being, you know, names and depictions and stuff, and your motives, questions. There's no training involved. People just, you know, copy what they see on TV. And one thing I want to reiterate: the Poltergeist loves that. They don't care. They can make a meal out of that, in the sense of, you got the paranormal team coming in here with a conscious bias. You got the house occupants over here who are just at their wits' end. They just want the activity to stop and go away. And they can make all kind of stuff, mincemeat on both sides. Because I tell people, I told Steve Merrill, hey, that's 666. That was never for me and Tina. That's for the researcher. That's to keep you doubting us. You know, we didn't write that. I really believe the poltergeists or the spirits in our home, I'm 50-50. I'll say 50-50. 50% of me believes some of the spirits in our home knew that Keith Linder, that IT guy, he's going to go the extra mile and try to figure some of this out. He's not going to let things just let lie. He's got a curiosity about him that almost rivals ours. And they did. It was weird. I hate unanswered questions. I hate to be continued stuff. That's why I don't watch a lot of TV or hate cliffhangers. You know, because I like things tied up, and the Poltergeist was leaving me with a lot of things untied, and I just knew my common sense was not getting the best of me, because I know objects don't float. I know they don't levitate. I know this stuff can't happen. Therefore, what's the rational explanation for it? If it's spirit, I'm fine with that. Hey, I'm fine. Good deal. And I think they saw me and they said, you know, we're going to write on this wall. We're going to write on it with black oil, you know. the paranormal teams who were going to come in. They're bringing all this money and equipment, traveling halfway around the world, spending weeks into the house. And this is weird. None of them ever thought to have that stuff tested. And I was like, why? I mean, they left it there. I'm not saying the Poltergeist made a mistake, but let's just say they made a mistake. And they left wall writings on the wall. And it's a lot. The black oil, if you've seen it, it's a lot. We have the technology today. We might not have had it in 1740 or 1430 or 1130 when the first, or the 834 AD when the first Poltergeist case was written. But we have it in 2021 or 2014. We have the technology nowadays that goes zip, 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 Ziploc bag, wrap it up, seal it, and send it to a university, a lab, high school. We ain't got to send it to a university. You can just go give it to a high school and say, hey, can you tell me what that stuff is? And just tell me what it is, you know? And if you think me and Tina are doing this ourselves, you now have us in dead to sight, because you're going to come back and get the results. Oh, it shows this spray paint, Keith. It shows this was bought at Home Depot, March 22nd, da, 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 da. Then I have answers for you. Then you have questions for me as to, you know, what's the legitimacy of your story. But until you do that, you shouldn't have that doubt, because we gave you access to the room. We gave you access to the wall writings. I had the wall writings tested after just finally giving up on the other teams not doing it. And it was not I who came up with the term bone black. It was the analysis who did. But any other paranormal team could have done that themselves, but they chose not to. And that's why I was thinking, but you question us all the time. And we've been open. I don't think there's anybody who can think Keith and Tina were not open with the house, or giving the keys to the house, I should say, as far as accessibility, whether we're there or not. We gave people access to the house, you know, and a normal person with something to hide or make it up as they go wouldn't do that. You know, you never see me, you can't come in the house today. You can't have access to the room. You don't, no. Nobody never took the Bibles. There's 3 Bibles that caught fire. Nobody never asked to take one.
It really annoys me, actually, Keith, when researchers and investigators don't keep their minds open until they actually investigate and, like you said, test things, and they just prejudge. They're not real investigators or researchers. They just have preconceived ideas, and then they just go with that. Yeah, I think a real researcher keeps their mind open because they want to.
Have to, right? That's a good question. So we moved into the house in May. We start house hunting February of that year. And me and Tina were looking online, looking in newspapers for a home to move into. And we saw a lot of homes, saw the pictures. When I saw this house, we both, I remember going back. The other houses that we saw, we never agreed on liking the house. It was either I like it and Tina didn't like it, or vice versa. We made a rule early on, whatever house we're going to move into, we both have to like it on site. Okay, so I could veto Tina. Tina sent me a picture via email. I'm like, oh, I don't like that house. And we didn't argue about it. I said, oh, okay, next. Or I would do the same thing. When we saw the Bothell house, we both were like, oh, I like that house. You know, so I emailed the homeowner, and then he said, hey, the home is still being lived in. This is about April. But he says, when it's vacant, I will call you. And he did. And we showed up to the home, you know, lockstep, and pretty much told him we want the house right away. The home, if you, how many pictures you've seen of the home? The home was built in 2005. It's a new home. It's a new neighborhood. And it's very, almost, it's a tract home neighborhood, very cookie cut. People always, you know, who see the house, oh, it looks like the house on the Poltergeist movie. It looks like that neighborhood. You know, it's one of those homes. It's non-assuming, right? It's a non-assuming home. You would never see this home and think that's the house from hell. You know, I could show you other homes and put this home in the middle of the other homes, and you would never choose this Bothell house. So when we move in, and then I'm pretty sure when the day we were touring the home, maybe 2 weeks before May 1st or whatever, and he's giving us the tour, I'm pretty sure the spirits are like, oh man, I hope they move in. I hope they get it, whatever. It'll never be proven, but maybe they've moved our application above everybody else's, and the homeowner is like, or everybody's credit report didn't come back, but ours did, and the spirits are like, yeah, because we want, and then, but no, we fell in love with the home. Both of us did, and on almost sight unseen.
Interesting. Yeah. Rob, did you want to ask a question or make any comments?
So I have a lot to talk about the landlord tomorrow. So definitely we will talk about the landlord. You will find it very interesting.
Okay.
And what I wanted to say is that I think that in your third book, you've got looking for answers in the physics of the poltergeist, and your idea about infrasound is really good, because the research on infrasound, how it affects people psychologically, the mood disorders, the sense of being watched, the anxiety, that's typical, absolutely typical of people who live in haunted houses, because when they leave the house, they notice the difference. So I think you're really onto something there. And some of the other ideas you had about explaining the technology of how things levitate and shatter. That's why I spoke to Vlad Dubai, our president. Vlad has a PhD in biomedical instrumentation. So Vlad's a very technical man, and I'm not. I'm just a psychic guy. I think you're really going to make some significant progress, because you're going to be able to come up with some hard science.
Yeah. I mean, infrasound. If everybody's familiar with infrasound or ultrasound, right? So, what I thought was interesting, Rob, in my study and writing the third book was, and you're right, the symptoms of infrasound exposure. Infrasound is invisible noise. It's still noise, but it's invisible. It runs off a level that it's undetected by the human ear, but it's still there. What I noticed, and maybe this is the IT in me, and maybe IT and like the medical community, we are trained at the early age of our career. You gotta spot the trends. You look for trends from case to case. The common denominator will always cut through case to case. There's a reason, there's a science behind that. So when I start reading all these poltergeist cases, and people were telling me about humming noises, mood swings, things affecting them, that always stayed in the back of my mind. And then when they said, well, my cat acts weird, my dog barks at the corner of the room, my cat's doing cartwheels on the couch or chasing an invisible thing, then you go Google infrasound and you realize pets can hear infrasound. They can see it and hear it because their ears are better trained than ours. It's almost like a setting, right? It's a setting on your computer, but in our brains and our ears and how science works in biology, they hear that stuff. It's like a dog whistle. Everybody knows the science behind a dog whistle. You blow it and dogs come running. Okay, that's sort of what infrasound. And well, if you look at all these poltergeist cases, and I looked at a lot of them, the common denominator was a lot of them was strange sounds, mood swings, shadowy figures, objects levitating. Google infrasound and floating objects, and you'll see a whole slew of videos where scientists nowadays can lift objects with infrasound. There's a little links I have in the book of them doing that, where they're moving and levitating objects, zipping up and down, round and round with infrasound. And they're saying the reason why that's going to be huge in the future is because now, instead of paying people or getting people to move sensitive chemicals with their hand, get exposed to fumes and danger and whatnot, we'll have the infrasound do that. So you could do it with your keyboard, and the infrasound will be moving crates of, objects to freights and whatnot back and forth. But it starts at the basic level of invisible sound noise, and prolonged exposure can affect humans negatively. Now, I go a step further and say the poltergeist is the infrasound. In this case, they're the one enacting it. I said, they're not holding an infrasound device. It's not like a poltergeist is in our living room and he's got a little, no, he is, or she, or it is the device. And here are the particulars, just to go through them real quickly. Here are the things that support that theory. Number one, when the team responded to the house, the first paranormal team came to the Bothell house, when they came to our home, this was like spring of 2014. What did Jennifer say? She said, your house is humming. Your house is humming, Keith. It's humming noises. We didn't hear that because we were living in the house for so long. We had to step out of the house and go back into it. Then we heard it, We had become familiar. What did the neighbors say who lived to the house to the right of us when the paranormal teams interviewed them? They said, our pets, our dog will not, and this is the neighbors. We haven't even talked to the neighbors yet. The neighbors told of the researchers, our dog would not go to any of the rooms in their house that's closest to the Bothell house. It will not go into any other rooms. And they thought that was odd. They thought that was odd. And they said, no pet, and we knew this too, goes into the yard of Keith and Tina's. Yeah. Because there's a bubble, there's an infrasound bubble resonating that pets can detect.
Yeah, and I remember when we were talking a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned that the fellow that lives right across the street from the Bothell house, he said that nobody ever parks in front of that house.
Nobody. Right. Yeah. So if you understand infrasound, right, you understand infrasound. If it's executed, it can create an uneasy feeling in human beings. That's just been proven. Okay. Yeah. Certain governments, certain military use infrasound for crowd control. If they want to break up a riot or a crowd, they throw infrasound in the air to disperse. The crowd is not even aware of it. It just like all of a sudden lost the urge to protest. It's like, we got 500 people, we're going to go march on the Capitol, or we're going to go march and protest. And then the military is like, turn on the infrasound noise. And then people, beknownst to themselves, all of a sudden lose interest. They're like, because something is resonating in them to where now they don't want to do that. Or mood swings, get uptight, angry, depressed. Depression is one of the key side effects of infrasound exposure. I'm pretty sure, I almost know that Rhonda, her depression was linked to some of the infrasound waves in the Bothell home because she could not explain it. She said, it all started with this house,
Wow, that is so interesting. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up there. I think we can go for hours though. It's so fascinating. And Keith, I think, I haven't heard anyone go so deeply into this subject, like going into the psychology of the poltergeist and the technology. Yeah, so I'm really loving this. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Keith will be back tomorrow, same time, for those of you that are joining us for another exciting couple of hours or more. So thank you everyone.